Welcome to operating system class. We have been discussing about a topic called as memory management unit. And in this memory management unit, we talked about swapping, then we talked about the relocation register, the physical addresses, virtual addresses, etc. Thereby, it extends to a word called as contiguous location. So, contiguous in sense the allocation of memory. The allocation of memory, whatever we are going to conclude, that it is going to be continuous. That it is going to be continuous, and we can say it is going to be a part of a serial locations. It is going to be part of some serial locations. So, before briefing it into the contiguous memory locations, we were mentioning that the main memory is called as random access memory, and it is going to be partitioned into two parts. First part we are going to call it as system space. Second part we are going to call it as user space. In system space, the operating system is going to reside, and in user space, the user's program is going to reside. So, this is the brief way what we are going to assume here. And second thing, the addresses where the operating system is going to stay, we are going to call them as some low order addresses. The addresses where the programs they are going to stay, we call them as some high order addresses. So, some they don't mention order, they say low addresses, and another say they high addresses or low memory or a high memory. So, in this way people based upon the textbook, the authors, their approaches, people will be taking up. So, the content, the thing was, the key takeaway from this was the system space what it is going to give up, that is the place where the operating system is going to stay, and the user space where it is going to show, it is going to be given to the user programs for execution, and operating system it is going to stay in the low order bits or low memory, and the user space is where the high order things are going to be assigned. So, we talked here regarding the actual address, the original address of a program, and when it is being prepared by the linker, when it is prepared by the loader, so that it is going to be done for execution, where system libraries are going to be linked and all the object modules are going to be linked, then we say that one here as an relocated address. So, that transient is going to be happening between the conversion mechanism between the actual memory and the physical, the virtual memory. So, actual memory, it is going to be taken up by the memory unit, and as far as this relocatable addresses etc., they are going to be raised by the central processing unit. So, here we will be having the physical address space, and the addresses which are going to be raised by the CPU, we are going to call them as some logical address space. One we are going to call it as a physical address, and the logical address we can say the other name we are going to call here as some virtual addresses. Fine. So, while building up this atmosphere towards the logical relationship etc., it is going to be concluded with a CPU, it is going to generate a logical address, and it is going to check whether the logical address raised was between the beginning and between the limiting of a register. So, that we are going to say it has a base register and it is going to have a limit register, and base register it is going to hold the starting address. We talked about this yesterday, and limit register it is going to say the range of addresses, the limit of an addresses the program is going to spread. So, that is what we are going to assume. So, if it is out of that boundary, then an error is going to be raised, a trap is going to be raised, or an interrupt is going to be raised, and that interrupt we are going to call it as some software interrupt. So, this was the background what we have talked yesterday, and after this background, now we need to look into a new words what we are going to take up for today. That one we are going to call it as a fragmentation. we call here as fragmentation. So fragmentation, it is nothing but some parts of memory or disk blocks. So I can say as the memory organization is going to be concerned, it is going to be partitioned. These are what we are going to call it as tracks, and the partition we are going to call it as some sectors, and either a track or a sector, it is going to be divided into some cells here. These cells we are going to call it as some disk blocks. These cells we are going to call some disk blocks. Now, collection of some memory disk block, we are going to assume this one as a collection of some memory disk block, we are going to assume it as a whole. So in the fragmentation, that is part of a memory, some collection of a disk blocks of a memory, it is going to be assumed here as a whole. So now, as far as fragmentation is going to be concerned, it is going to be divided into two types. One, it is going to be called it as internal fragmentation. Another, it is going to be divided into external fragmentation. One type of fragmentation we are going to call it as internal fragmentation. Another type of fragmentation we are going to call it as external fragmentation. One we are going to call it as internal fragmentation, another we are going to call it as external fragmentation. So before we dig deep into the internal and external and fragmentation, etc., we need to have some slight way if a program is going to happen, how a memory is going to be distributed. It is going to be distributed in three approaches. It is going to be distributed in three approaches. One, people are going to call it as best fit. Second one, we are going to call it as worst fit. And third one, we can say here, the third type of allocation, we are going to call it as best fit algorithm. So the first fit, best fit, and the third scenario was to give this first fit algorithm. So we will be talking about each and every attribute right now. So what is first fit, what is best fit, and what is worst fit. So these all are going to be a scenario which they are going to be taken up towards the fragmentation. Okay, the first and now the definition what we are going to give for a fragmentation was, fragmentation is going to be some collection of disk blocks. Where are these disk blocks available? Disk blocks are available in the hard disk. They are going to be taken up from the secondary memory storage. And how is this disk block organized? Disk blocks are organized in form of tracks or in form of sectors. Now, what do we call the collection of a disk block? The collection of a disk block in this operating system terminology, we are going to call it as a whole. Okay, fine. Now, how are these disk blocks, how are these holes allocated to the program by the memory unit? That was the first question before we dig deep towards the fragmentation, internal or an external fragmentation. So how are these holes allocated to the memory? So fine, how these are going to be allocated means, the first approach we are going to call it as first fit algorithm, second one we are going to call it as best fit, and third thing we are going to call it as a worst fit. So we do have the programs which are going to be allocated, we call them as some multiple partition allocation. So operating system, it is going to stay in the system space, and the processes whatever we are going to call, they are going to be saved in the user space. So operating system followed by the processes. Now you can see this process 5 is going to be allocated, and process 8 is going to ask for a location, but still it is going to be given to the 9, another process is going to take up, and now the remaining part is going to be given up for the process 8 here. So when is this situation occurring? Either for a first fit, when is the situation which is going to occur for fragmentation? That was the scenario. So fragmentation, just now I told, it is some set of disk blocks. So this set of disk blocks, we are going to call it as a holes. That is blocks which are going to be available. So these blocks are going to be available in the memory here. So when far as an fragmentation is going to be concerned, it is going to be a internal fragmentation and it is going to be towards an external fragmentation. Altogether, either a internal fragmentation, either an external fragmentation, they are going to look up for to achieve the degree of multiprogramming. They are going to look up to achieve the degree of multiprogramming. So how is this degree given? Means the program space is going to be allocated dynamically in disk blocks, and how this allocation is going to take up, because the different locations are going to be scattered in different places of a memory, and all them they have to be pulled up together and given to as an allocation to the program. They have to given some accommodation to a program when it is going to be erased. So similarly, if a program is going to be removed, that means the program has to be removed, the garbage values has to be removed. That means a free space management is going to be happened concurrently. Got it? So a program is going to occur, program allocation has to happen. A program is there, so you need some allocation. Program is going to be left, then what we have to say? We have to say to deallocate. So deallocate, we are going to call it as some free space management here. So we need to say when a program is going to occur, we are going to give some programs here, and similarly when a program is going to eleve, then they are going to be taken up with the free space management. Okay, now how a program is going to be given memory? That was the first question what we have raised. There are three search techniques which can be executed dynamically by the operating system. That too a memory management is going to be taken up. So what will be the three strategies? Means the first strategy will be the first fit algorithm, second strategy will be the best fit algorithm, and third strategy will be the worst fit algorithm. So I was telling here the definition, a whole, we are going to call it as some set of memory disk blocks. Set of memory disk blocks we are going to call here as a whole here. Fine. So I do have some memory here, I do have some memory, and now this memory has to be allocated to a process. This memory is going to be allocated to a process. So now I can say P1 is given here, P2 is going to be given, and the lines what we are going to draw it in diagonal, we are going to call here as an empty space. We are going to assume it as empty space. So P1 is occupied, P2 is occupied, so we can draw it is 0 to 100, P1 is going to occupy, 0 to 300 empty space is there, from 300 to some 400 another program is going to be there. Assume now P3 has occurred and the size of P3 was 100 memory locations, and the size of P3 was some 100 memory locations. Now here the free space is there, so I can say 0 to 100 P1, then 100 to 200 I can give it to P3. Thereby we do have a free space here, so that is 0 to 300, again now it is going to be a free space here, and 300 to 400 we have this another program. Fine. So when a program is going to occur for execution, now memory has to be assigned to that program. That is the fundamental rule what we are going to do, right? So I'm going to execute a swap program in Java or C, whatever it is. You are going to save the program. Where is that program saved? That program is going to be saved in the primary memory. That means you are going to say saving. Saving, what you is called as saving there. The memory what we are going to available, that memory is going to be given to your program. How is that memory available? It is available in disk blocks. What is the disk block? The set of disk block, it is made up of some tracks and sectors. Okay, fine. So what we call the collection of a disk blocks, the collection of disk blocks we are going to call here as a whole. Now, how is the collection of disk blocks a whole? A free whole is going to be allocated to a program. Then we are going to call with the three strategies first strategy we call it as first fit, second strategy we call it as best fit, and third strategy we are going to call it as a worst fit. So assume that there is a program. So let us look into a separate way of dealing with the free space management. And free space management program will be taken up with first fit, then it will be taken up with best fit, and third thing, it is going to work with worst fit. Okay, first fit, best fit, and worst fit. So these are the three strategies what people are going to assign. Okay, now I am going to write a primary memory here, the primary memory here, and this primary memory, it is going to have some values like this, assume. So the primary memory is totally organized. So it is some 0 to 100, it is to 300, and I can draw here as from 500, and it is some 700. So 750, then I can say it is some 850, then I can say it is 1000. So it is some 900, then it is went for 1000. Assume it was like this. Okay, 1000. Okay, fine. Now let us assume 0 to 300. I am going to draw lines. I am going to call it as free space. And similarly, between 750, between 750 to 800, again I can say some free space is there. And similarly, from 900 to some content, that is some 1024, assume it is some 1024 MB. So now I can say some free space is there. Okay, 0 to 100, P1 is occupied, 300 to 500, P2 is occupied, 500 to 700, P3 is occupied, 700 to 750, P4 is occupied, 800 to 850, P5 is occupied, 850 to 900, P6 is occupied. Okay, so P1 is going to occupy for 100 MB of data, 100 MB of data, and P2 it is going to occupy for 200 MB of data. P3 is going to occupy for 200 MB data. P4 is going to occupy some 50 MB of data, and P5 it is going to occupy some 50 MB of data, and P6 it is going to occupy for 50 MB of data. Now what is the free space? What is the available free space, or what is the available disk blocks? Disk blocks. So we shouldn't call it as disk blocks. We are going to say it is holes here. So I can say between 100 to 300, right? So 200 MB is free plus, and what is the available free space? So this is the first free space, second free space, and third free space. So 200 is available, between 750 to 800, 50 MB is available, and between 900 to 1024. So I can say 124 MB is available. So what I can say? So 200 plus 250. So 250 is the free space here, and 124 is the free space. So I can say 374 MB of free space is available, right? This is the scenario what we are going to work it up. So I'm going to have P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, P6 process. They are going to be allocated with the memory, and now you can see memory is not contiguous. So we have a free space here. So free space, it is between P1 and P2 with 200 locations, etc. So this is how our organization is there. Now let us discuss the first word. We are going to call it as first fit. First fit. So first fit. So what is this first fit? It is going to talk it about is, it is going to search for large partition. It is going to search for a large partition, that is it sees that it scans right from and moves in from first in first out. That is, it is going to maintain some queue. It is going to maintain some queue order one after the other. Okay, so it goes with looking right from 0 to 100. Assume that there is new process P7, and P7 needs some 40, it needs some 40 MB of uh, memory. It needs some 40 MB of memory. Now, what this first state is going to see is, it is going to search for a larger partition. It is going to search for a larger partition, and it sees that, okay, between 0 to between 0 to 300, a partition is going to be taken up, and now it is going to break up this process here, and this process it is going to give up with process P7. It is going to include the P7. So we say here that is the first fit algorithm. Now, what is this best fit algorithm doing? What is this best fit algorithm it is going to do? It is going to search for the smallest available hole. So this is going to search for the largest partition, or you can say it is some largest first, that is in first order, and one after the other. And as far as the best fit is going to be taken up, it is going to say, okay, you look at a smaller available hole, and that should be very optimal to the program. Now, what I can search here, there is a space between 300 to 500. There is a space between 700 to, there is a space between 750 to 800. There is a space between 900 to 1024. So here I am going to have 200 space, 750 to 850 I have 50 MB space, and 950 to 1024 I am going to have some 124 MB space. Now, what is the program size? Program size was only 40 MB. So now what this best, or what this optimal search it is going to do is, it is going to give you a whole. It is going to give you a partition of a memory, a disk block partitions of a memory, which it is more or less giving you the appropriate need, which is more or less fitting the appropriate need. That means you have asked for 40, but only 50, you have asked for 40, and 50 is going to be available. So now this 10, it is going to have some free space, and remaining it is going to be assigned to P7, and remaining it is going to assign to the P7. So that is where this best fit is going to work it out. Now coming to the worst fit algorithm, it is going to allocate the largest available partition. It is going to give you the largest available partition. So what is the largest available partition here? So it is going to say the largest available partition was some 200 here. So this 200 partition is going to be given to some P4. Even the P4 node was only 40 locations, but still 200 locations are going to be given to that location. So that is the reason why we are going to call it as a worst fit. So the first fit, it goes with first in first out order, and more or less it meets the appropriate availability. But as far as best fit is going to concern, it sees look up to the smallest availability partition, and whereas worst fit, it searches for all the available space, and which is the largest partition available, that largest partition is going to be given to that process. So that is why we are going to call that one as a worst fit algorithm. So we do have these words. So dynamic storage, it is going to have an allocation, that is allocate a first hole that is big enough, allocate a first hole that is big enough. And second thing, when we are going to say it is a best fit algorithm, allocate a small hole that is big enough. And third thing, allocate a largest hole that must search the entire space. It must search for the entire space, and whatever the things are going to be higher memory allocation is there, that one it is going to be given to the process. So first fit and best fit are going to be somewhat better than the worst fit, because worst fit it is going to have more CPU cycles in form of speed, in form of storage, everything is going to be increased. So that is why this worst fit is going to be coming into the scenario. Fine. Now, what is fragmentation here was the first thing you can say here, it is going to be not contiguous. It is going to assume it is going to be not contiguous, because wherever memory is there, that partition is going to be given to the program. Serially, the things are not going to be taken up. And a request comes to the memory. Now, the memory management is going to give the available memory chunk to the program. So based on the availability of a partition. So then we are going to say it is non-contiguous. If it is going to be a contiguous allocation, one memory after another memory, it is one disk block of another disk block, one hole after another hole, appropriately it is going to taking up. But as far as fragmentation is going to be concerned, now it is going to say, okay, I don't work in order. So that is the reason why it is called as non-contiguous. So non-contiguous, it is going to be spread in multiple parts. So here program part 1 of progress 1, this one I can say part 2 of program 1, and another location I can say part 3 of some process P3. It is going to be given up in this scenario. Now I can part program 1. So now I can say, well, how is this P1 spread? P1 is going to be spread in part 1, P1 is going to be spread in part 2, and P1 is part 3. Now I am going to say you pull up this partition. Here 50 MB is there, 50 MB is there, 50 MB is there. So my partition P1 is going to be added with 50 plus 50 plus 50. So total 150 MB space I am going to get. But that 150 space I am not going to get it in an order. They are going to be spread in multiple locations of a program. So that is why we are going to call this word as a non-contiguous. So fragmentation, it is going to support non-contiguous memory locations. So the total space, whatever it is going to be done, it is going to satisfy a request, but that request need not be in an order. It can be spread at multiple disk blocks in a memory location. So that is the reason why we are going to call that word here as a non-contiguous memory location. Next one, we do have internal fragmentation. So internal fragmentation was that either the first fit, nor either the best fit, nor the worst fit is going to be suffering with a internal fragmentation. So the allocation of a memory is going to be slightly larger than the existing. That means earlier we were telling that it is going to ask for 50, it is going to ask for some 40 MB. Now I am going to give you a slightly higher than the requirement what we are going to ask. Then we are going to call that one as an internal fragmentation. Okay, so free space is going to be 50 MB. Now program size is going to be some 10 MB, is going to be some 40 MB. Now this 10 MB is going to be given as a bonus to this process. Now this one we are going to call it as a internal fragmentation. We are just the need was 50, the need was 40, but you have given 50 based upon the availability. So but that 10 memory locations also you are going to give to the program as a bonus. And now the minimal memories what we are going to support it to the program, that additional amount we are going to say it is going to be an internal fragment. So it is just a little higher than the requirement what the program has going to be raised. We say here as an internal fragmentation. So external fragmentation, you can say that disk blocks are going to be spread, the holes are going to be spread geographically in different locations of the memory. So all those they have to be pulled together. So that is where this external fragmentation is going to come into scenario. So you need to link up for program 1, I want to see, I have to link up the 3 different disk blocks, the 3 different locations where the program is going to save. All those I have to take up. So that is the reason why this external fragmentation is going to have it. So first fit analysis, it reveals that the n blocks are allocated, then it is going to say 0.5 of n blocks are going to have this fragmentation. So 1/3 is going to be unusable, and that is what we are going to call here as a 50% rule. So only 1/3 of the things are going to be unusable. So that is the advantage where this first fit analysis is going to be conducted. So, as far as this fragmentation is going to be concerned, we will repeat this again. So, fragmentation is a topic what we are going to talk up. So, fragmentation, it is going to lead up. It is going to lead up with 2 attributes. One attribute we are going to call it as internal fragmentation. Another we are going to call it as some external fragmentation. One we are going to call it as an internal fragmentation. Another we are going to call it as an external fragmentation. So where the most important thing was the fragmentation, it is going to support non-contiguous allocation. It is going to support some non-contiguous allocation. If it is going to be contiguous allocation, if it is going to be some continuous allocation, then we are going to take a support of base address, and we are going to take the support of the limit register. We are going to take the support of limit register, etc. We take the base address and we take the base register, and we are going to take the limit register to take up this contiguous memory location. So when we are going to talk about contiguous memory location, we are going to consider that is a base register is going to happen, a base register which stores the starting address of a program, and limit register, it is going to store up the range of a program. So that is where a contiguous locations is going to be handled. As far as fragmentation is going to be taken up, fragmentation, it is going to support non-contiguous allocation. When it is going to be non-contiguous allocation, program is not located serially. The disk blocks or the allocation can happen dynamically in various parts of memory. In various parts of memory, the allocation is going to be happened. So for that, this non-contiguous allocation is going to be taken up. How is this happen dynamically? It is going to happen with the 3 strategies. One we are going to call it as first fit. Another strategy we are going to call it as best fit. The third strategy we are going to call it as a worst fit. So as far as first is going to be concerned, we were telling that the best, we are going to say that the first available hole is going to be allocated to the memory, is going to be allocated to the program. The first available memory disk block is going to be allocated to the program. So it can be optimal, it need not be optimal. Second one, we are going to call it as best fit. It is going to be the optimal, that is, it is going to say appropriate memory is searched. Appropriate memory is searched, and the smallest hole is going to be given. So here we are going to say we are going to give the larger hole, and we are going to give here as a smaller hole. And worst fit, it is going to search for the largest available partition. Largest available partition or hole is given to program So that is what we are going to say. So it searches what is the largest hole available. That largest hole is going to be met. We are going to call here as a worst fit. First fit, best fit, and worst fit. So when these three are going to lead up, they are going to say external fragmentation is going to be suffocated to the program. So how is this external fragmentation suffocated? Because program space is not going to be contiguous. Program space is not going to be contiguous. It is going to be in different parts of a memory, and it is going to be stored at different locations of the memory in form of holes. How is this internal fragmentation taken up? Internal fragmentation is going to be taken up so that the disk blocks, if I am going to ask for 40 memory locations and you have the nearest disk block to me as 50, so I can't break up this 10 to any other program which will not be suitable for any other program. Therefore, that disk block I am going to give to you. So that 10 memory locations, despite it is not your request, but still the 10 memory locations is going to be given to you, is going to be assigned to you, even though your interest was not there. So such is where we are going internal fragmentation. So you internal fragmentation, you asked for 40 MB and the program available was 50 MB. So you do not need 10 MB, but still the 10 MB is going to be given. You are going to call here as an internal fragmentation. So what does this external fragmentation, what does this external fragmentation refer to as? External fragmentation, it is going to be referred towards compaction. External fragmentation, it is going to refer towards compaction. So how it is going to refer to a compact was that it is going to reshuffle the disk blocks. It is going to shuffle the memory content. That means I have a memory disk block here, another disk block, another disk block, another disk block. So here operating system is going to serve, and I can say free space here. There is a free space, and this memory also free space is going to be there. Free space is there. So I have process P1, I have process P2. What I can do with compaction? What I can do with compaction was I can rearrange the program. That is, operating system will be at the first location, P1 will be at the second location, P2 will be the third location, and now free space is going to be pooled. Free space is going to be pooled so that memory can be given or utilized optimally. Memory can be given or utilized optimally. So if a new program is going to come, it has to be again broken into two parts. But when I am going to compact, then I am going to see that I am going to shuffle the disk blocks into one order. Now free space is going to be pulled up, and that free space can be given to some other program so that it is going to satisfy the content. So I am going to have shuffle the memory and place all the free space together and place all the free space together into a larger block. So I am going to have free space A here, free space B here. Now I am going to merge both free space A and B. So it is going to be location, what we are going to say is free space is going to be pulled up. So compaction, it is going to be possible when it is going to be very dynamic and when there is some relocatable address and there is towards at the execution time. So compile time is not going to be preferred for a compaction. Only the execution time is going to be taken up at the towards the fragmentation. The two external fragmentation does compaction here. So this is what we are going to look towards the compaction values. Fine. In today's class, we have talked about contiguous locations. When contiguous locations is going to have, it is going to have absolute address and relocatable address, and these relocatable addresses are going to be transceived with a hardware support between base register and bound register. Next thing we have talked about fragmentation, and fragmentation, it is going to be called it as non-contiguous allocation. When it is going to be non-contiguous, program is going to be spread across memory in various locations. So it is going to be non-contiguous and it can be not be in an order. So how is this memory locations organized? It is going to be in form of blocks here, and it is going to be towards sectors, and it is going to be with the tracks. So we have a definition for a whole, that is, it is going to be some collection of memory disk blocks we are going to call here as a whole here. And the free space management, it is going to work up with the three ideas towards optimal non-contiguous location, that it is leads to an external and internal fragmentation. It can be a first fit, it can be a best fit, and it can be a worst fit algorithms here. So when we are talking about the first fit, it is going to give a whole that it is going to be big enough. When we are talking about best fit, it is going to give the smallest that is big enough, and as far as worst fit is going to give, it is going to allocate the largest hole which it is going to be available. So all these, they are going to suffer with storage, and they are going to suffer with allocated memory, etc. So as far as external fragmentation is going to be concerned, now the memory is going to be totally non-contiguous. As it is going to be non-contiguous, we need to make out where these locations are going to be pooled together. So that is what we are going to call here as an external fragmentation. So the total memory space what it is going to grant to a program, it is found at different locations because it is going to support up the non-contiguous content. So next one, we do have some internal fragmentation. So the allocation of memory what we are going to assign to internal fragmentation, it is going to be slightly greater than the requirement. So that is where we call it as internal fragmentation. For example, I have asked for 40 MB and free space is of only 50 MB. So still 10 MB is free, but this 10 MB I can't give to any program. So I'm going to give this also to the same program, and thereby it is going to effectively use towards this memory partition. So we talked about first fit, best fit, internal and external fragmentation. And what does this fragmentation, especially what does this external fragmentation leads to? External fragmentation, it leads to a compaction. So when there is going to be a compaction, what was the solution was that you can see here process P1, process P2 here. Between process P1 and P2 there is a free space, and after P2 there is a process free space. Free space. Now if a big program is going to come into scenario and it is asking for free space, and it is not in a position to allot to that big program, so what it is going to do is it is going to shuffle the memory locations, that it is going to shuffle the memory locations. Shuffling the memory locations here, we are going to call it as compaction. So we do have the system space with operating system followed by process P1, process P2, and the larger part of a free space is going to be pulled up. So now this larger part of a free space can be given to a new program. So that is all, whatever the things we talked about are the key takeaways for today's class. We talked about fragmentation, etc. And again, we are going to revise the same thing for better understanding to most of the students. So that is all for today. So thank you for joining my class. So we have some 34 participants. So you can leave.